Okay guys, I'm going to show you very quickly how to complete the Module 13 Introduction to Web Exploitation exercise. I won't do this with all of them, but I kind of wanted you to be able to understand how this works and also some of the tools that you can use to solve this puzzle. The idea behind doing these puzzles this way and not providing clear-cut instructions for all of them is, number one, to prepare you for how the contests work. Basically, capture the flag contests give you minimal information. Number one, that requires that you do the research, which is an important part of network security, is doing the research yourself. And number two, it doesn't limit you to one way of solving the problem, because when I show you how to do this, you're going to think, oh, well, that must be the way. No, there are a lot of other ways to get this answer, but the one that I'm going to show you is the one that I would use. It's the easiest way that I know of to do it. So let's go ahead and look at the problem, and then we're going to look at the solution. Okay guys, so here we are on the page. The introduction of the World Wide Web, hacking and exploitation reached an all-time high. As each new development in technology emerged, a new way to take advantage of that technology seemed waiting in the wings. The following example makes use of various parts of an HTML document. There's a great deal of data that's never seen by the user but is required by the browser in order to make the page appear properly. So the instructions are, number one, navigate to the following link, that's here. Find the flag that's held within the page, and then click the Start Assignment button, paste the flag in, and you want to use this format, Pico CTF, bracket, and then whatever the flag is, close bracket. So that is what you'll be, that's how you'll be answering the question. So the link is there, and then I gave you a hint. Now part of the puzzle is to figure out how to read the hint. It's not a link, but it is a mouse over. So if you roll your mouse over that, you'll see it says each button does a different method, and perhaps there is other methods that you can use. Also, you might want to curl back around to this one after reading about the other methods. Interesting. What could they be talking about? Well, let's go ahead and click on the link and go to the page and see what we have. As we look at the page, we've got a couple of buttons. Choose red, nothing happens. Choose blue, and the background changes blue. We choose red, the background changes red again. Basically, what we're looking at is just a background color changer. It's a simple JavaScript that changes whenever you click one of these buttons. Now, if you pay attention to these buttons and what they do, you'll notice something else interesting. When I choose red, if I look at the URL up here, I see that index.php, which a PHP page is a page that is interactive, it has script content in it. And I see that I'm going to index.php with a question mark at the end of it. When I choose blue, I'm still going to index.php, but the question mark goes away. That's a clue. That's a clue that gives us an idea of how the page works. So the first thing that you want to do always when you're looking at a web exploitation problem, the very first thing you want to do is examine the source code of the page. And the way that you do that in Chrome or just about any other browser is right-click. When the context menu pops up, we're going to view page source. And as we look, this is the HTML code for the page. Basically, it's a simple page. We've got the head of the document up here. Inside the head of the document, we've got a style sheet. This basically tells our page what to look like. The title of the page is blue, which you can see up here in the tab. That changes, by the way, if I click on the button and go back to red. I've got a div. Think of a div as a plastic box. Or actually, I've got the body. First of all, there's the body of the page, and inside that, I've got divs. Basically, these divs are containers. Think of them as invisible plastic boxes. So the first one is container. Inside that, I've got a row. The rows divide up into columns, and basically what this does, this is a tool that Bootstrap uses to make my pages lay out nice and evenly. But what we care about are the forms. Okay, I've got a form, and I've got a value here, and it says choose red. And then I've got another form down here. It's got a value, and it says choose blue. So those are my two buttons. Now, interesting, my method here. The method for the first button says get. Method equals get. Down here, for going to blue, the method equals post. There's a difference there. What was it that we heard a while ago for our hint? You might want to curl back around to this after reading about the other methods. Well, method number 1 is get, and method number 2 is post. So if you go to Google and let's do a little search, compare get with post. Okay, they're used to transfer data from a client to a server in HTTP. The main difference between the post and get method is that get always requests a parameter appended to the URL string. That means that question mark, that designates the parameter. So that's why that get method had a question mark at the end of it, while post carries the quest parameter in the message body. It's a much better way. It's more secure. It's a newer way. Get is the old method, post is the newer method, and so that is the difference. Now, are there any other HTTP methods, I wonder? Besides get and post? Let's see. Wow, there's a lot. There's post, there's get, there's put, there's patch, there's delete. There's all kinds of methods. In fact, there are 9 methods, and so we're going to look at those 9 methods. These are all methods to provide information to an HTML page, or to get methods. We remember that get required a parameter in the URL string. That's why that question mark was up here. Post did not. Put and patch, delete. Ah, look, there's a head method. The head method is similar to get, but it doesn't have any response bodies. Oh, if it mistakenly returns a response body, it must be ignored. So there's a thing called a head method. We can make a head request, and that information, or that response, will be what is contained inside the head. So how can we make a head request? Well, let's see. What could we do? What can we do to make a head request? We need some kind of an application that sends information, but you can't really do it in a browser because you have to have a way to type in that information. So what can we do? We can just basically say head, echo HTTP 1.1, and that will give us that. There's an easier way to do it that we have available on our computers, especially if you got a Linux computer. By the way, all the CTF should be done in Linux or with a Linux file system. Let's look at an application called curl. Let's see. You can use curl to make a head request. Oh, look at that. We can make a head request using -i or --head. So either one of those will work. So we could use an application called curl that we just happen to have in our Linux file system using the -i to send a request. Now this may seem like it's kind of complicated and out of the blue, but in fact this is how a capture the flag program would work, and this is actually considered a pretty easy one. The thing is, you have to have done some of these to know how, or to have an idea about what you would want to do. So let's go ahead and open up our Linux file system. We use Ubuntu, and what we're going to do is we're going to copy our URL here. And we're going to send a curl request. It's just curl, and we want to use -I, capital I, by the way. And then we're going to paste in our address. That's the address that we have. We hit enter. Oops. Maybe I missed. Oh, it's lowercase. Sorry, my bad. That is lowercase, not capitals, and Linux cares. Try that again. All right, we got the information back. First of all, it tells us the version of HTTP. It's 1.1. 200 is an error code for everything worked out like it was supposed to. That means the communication worked and the response we got back from the server was okay. That means that we were able to make our communication. The data that we got back, oh, look at that. Pico CTF, reject the duality. Basically, that's the flag that we want to have. So we're going to go ahead and copy that flag. In case you're curious, you can highlight something and then right-click in the little border up here. Go to Edit, and you can copy and paste and cut from here. And then this tells us the content type of information, which is just an HTML page. All right, so now that we've got that, we come back to our page. And I'm going to go to Student View to tell you what you should be doing as a student. This is how you would answer the question. Oops, which is not published. So we need to go ahead and publish this module. Actually, I'm just going to stop right there. Okay, so that is how you would answer the first web exploitation problem. Basically, we used curl, which is an application that's available in our Linux subsystem or in our Linux distros, and we sent a request using the head method, not the get, not the post, not the push or the put, but the head method. We sent a message to the web server using the head method and using curl application, and we got back a response that gave us the flag. This would be considered an easy problem. Now, if you've never done one before, there's nothing easy about it. It's involved and it uses technology that you may not be familiar with. But now that you know, the key that you want to look at is the actual question that they gave us in the hint. Most CTF problems will have a hint of some kind, and they try to be clever, like I was trying to be. Let's read that hint again. Each button does a different method. That's the get or post. Perhaps there are other methods you can use, so I gave you a hint right there. You want to go back and look at the other methods besides get and post. Also, you might want to curl back around to this after reading about the other methods. And so I gave you the application, and I gave you at least a start on finding out what you needed to do with that application. This is a fairly common way to do that, so I would be willing to bet that as we do more CTF problems, you'll see the use for curl again. Maybe not with the head command, but with other commands. And basically, once you get used to using things like this, it becomes a lot simpler. So hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully you got this to work out. If not, go back and try it. Remember, you nearly have to use a Linux system of some kind, either the Linux subsystem in Windows or an actual Linux distro. Hacking or defending against hacking from Windows is for the most part pointless. It's not a system that lends itself to that. That's why Ubuntu is, or not Ubuntu, that's why Linux is an important part of network administrator's repertoire. You need to be familiar with Linux. Most of these assignments are going to help you become familiar with Linux. So good luck. Go ahead and move on to the next assignment and let me know how this worked out for you. Tell me if this was worthwhile. Have a good day, and I'll see you in class.